Welcome to Morning Devotion with Ken Gurley. Devotions designed to inspire you on your daily walk with God. Here's your host, Ken Gurley.
Hey, good Friday morning to everybody. Everybody on the road. It may look a little different today. I don't know, it may sound a little different today. That's just the way it is when I'm on the road. Lights are different. Yep. And I can't see you. As far as I'm concerned, on days like this, you're all lurkers. I can't see anybody. But I trust. I have faith. I have faith in the unseen. I trust in the unseen God, and I trust that you're out there. We're going to have a wonderful time today. Going to close this week strong with a great subject. A subject that, again, emanates from a proverb that I found useful at a certain season of my life. And let's call this broken walls, broken lives. For those of you that are just joining us, welcome to the family. Identify yourself, even though I can't see you. Just say hello. Say hello out there. And let your voice be heard, and let's see some good things begin to happen. And if you're new, identify where you're from, say a word, encourage one another. You're going to see a lot of prayer requests. We encourage that. If you have prayer requests, put them out the side. If you have victory reports, hey, a good report makes the bones fluffy. That's it. Fluffy bones. You're not going to find that in the new translations, but I just refuse to use the word that rhymes with that. Yes, healthy bones. Good report make healthy bones fluffy. Yeah, that's it. So here's one of my favorite Proverbs. Proverbs 25:28. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down without walls. Broken walls. Broken lives. I hope you enjoy this today. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. If you're watching on Facebook, follow, get the word out, share this with others. We just finished celebrating Independence Day, commemorating the day when the mouse of 13 colonies slew the imperial lion and won its freedom. The fathers of our country are well known. Many went on to be presidents of the fledgling nation, like Washington, Adams, Monroe, Jefferson. Of all the men who would eventually become presidents of the country, there were many more whose names, of course, did not. For example, the eloquent Daniel Webster, after losing the nomination of the precursor of the Republican Party in 1852. Webster said, "It is a great office, the presidency. It's the greatest office in the world, but a man, and I want it very, very bad." There were many people who wanted to be presidents. But would you let me just dive into our history just a bit? Dive into our nation's history to discuss a man who, probably of all others deserved to be president, was a descendant of the great Jonathan Edwards, who I write about in the book on prayer, whose preaching and devotion shaped the colonies, the Great Awakening. Consider this. Someone studying Edwards' lineage, and this was 75 years ago, and from the 1,394 studied descendants of Jonathan Edwards came an American vice presidents, senators, governors, mayors, judges, college presidents, college professors, lawyers, physicians, military officers, preachers, missionaries, 100 prominent authors, 80 other public officials. Yeah, just staggering. One of these men was named Aaron Burr. Aaron Burr. He had the advantage of history. His grandfather, Jonathan Edwards, set America on fire with his rhetoric. It was his grandfather who preached sinners in the hands of an angry God, by far the most popular and enduring message of American history. Burr was a 20-year-old when America won her independence. And as Churchill said, times make men. He was living in the right time. He had the advantage of intellect His father was a Presbyterian minister and also president of Princeton University. He came from a family of thinkers. He had the advantage of a good upbringing, raised in a preacher's home on an Ivy League campus in the late 18th century that lifted up the banner of decency and the value of prayer as the priority of the Word of God. But Burr didn't take advantage of all this. Burr was, to put it lightly, an immoral man. Now, others pursuing the office of presidency, they had serious blemishes on their character. I mean, Andrew Jackson had killed a man in a duel, another president in the mudraking of a campaign, admitting to parenting an illegitimate child. But these seemed to be random acts that the public was willing to overlook. But not so with Burr. The whole tone of his life was just messed up, sordid, low. In Princeton, it's said that there were two acts that stood out dismally in Burr's life. First, at the age of 16, when he announced that he would shut himself up in a room and decide once and for all if he believed in God or not. And late that night, students passing under his window heard him throw open the shutters and scream, "Goodbye, God." Aaron Burr. Aaron Burr, who could have been, maybe should have been, President of the United States. The second incident, situated in the center of Princeton campus, I've never seen it, that there's a lonely grave of a girl that was seduced by a young Aaron Burr, who, when she lay dying, asked that she be buried in the spot where Burr had accomplished her ruin. In that Revolutionary War, Burr served gallantly, but with marks of dishonesty. For when he served in General Washington's staff, the great general was so distressed by Burr's lack of integrity that years later he refused to give him a high office. So Aaron Burr decided to go it alone. He moved to the up-and-coming city of New York, along with Alexander Hamilton, the founder of the U.S. Treasury. Burr served as one of the handful of lawyers in that state, and he became the political boss of the famed Tammany Society, that corrupt organization that would see many of their own elected in the forthcoming century. But as the 18th century closed, Burr's name began to be mentioned as a possible candidate for presidency. The year of 1800, and I hope you enjoy this history lesson. I just want to share it because I think it's a living color incident of how broken walls lead to broken lives. Aaron Burr, of course, has come of vogue of late in the Broadway musical Hamilton, and so is Hamilton, by the way. But it was in 1800, Burr thought his year had come to be president, as was the custom. The Democratic Convention elected two names, Jefferson and Burr, and until then it was never spelled out, just understood the first name was president, the second VP. Somehow Burr maneuvered behind the scenes through state convention, managed to receive as many votes as Jefferson. In fact, so deadlocked was it that Congress had to go through 36 ballots before Jefferson was declared president and Burr vice president. 10 months later, a constitutional amendment was approved, clarifying the selection of president and vice president. But that was Burr. Shady politics, trimming around the edges. Burr might have still been president had it not been for one final act of malice. Burr had always hated Alexander Hamilton. Hamilton was vocal in questioning Burr's integrity. Burr demanded that Hamilton apologize. Hamilton refused. And Burr called him out on that fateful day, July 11, 1804, the most highly publicized duel in American history. Both geniuses, both powerful. But on the banks of the Weehawken River, Burr killed Hamilton. Shortly thereafter, Burr's wife perished in shipwreck. Burr would go on to die an angry, bitter, impoverished man. New Yorkers said that frequently they would see a gnarled, bent old man walking down the docks. Little did they realize that was a former vice president, an almost president. They would watch him as he gazed intently down the harbor towards sea, searching in vain for a ship which would never arrive. You see, Burr Burr, Morning Devotion family, Burr is living proof of Solomon's proverb. That's why these are not just sayings. They're life. A man, a woman who cannot control their spirit. They're like a city broken down without walls. Broken walls, broken lives. I hope this is giving you a very real to life example of what Solomon described. Solomon offers a metaphor to us. A metaphor for self-discipline, righteousness, for a man's interior life, his inner man. His private world is compared to a city. A man who can't keep his tongue in check, who can't keep his heart and spirit right, who can't keep his motives clean. That man dwells in a fortified city. But the man has allowed the rocks of the wall to erode. That fortified city has begun to crumble. That man, like Burr, operates from impure motives, lashes out with anger, allows bitterness and anger to fester and to poison the well of the inner man. That's a man whose city, everything he touches, everything he influences, is imperiled, for his walls are gone. They're crumbled down. He has no refuge, no strength. Can I just say that most of the lessons from this passage are obvious the longer we ponder them? But let me elevate a few lessons. Only precious things are protected. That's the first. Build a fence around a field, but more often he will build it around a garden. Father might build a wall around a pasture, but more often he's going to build that wall around a playground where his children plays. A jeweler might leave certain items in the display case, but the crown jewels are going to be locked away behind walls. Because a garden, a child, precious gems, they're priceless. And precious things must be protected. And Solomon said that a man's spirit, our inner man, it's got to be precious because we build walls around it. In ancient times, the city would have certain preordained passages for inflow and outflow, gates, many gates mentioned in the city of Jerusalem. There's the Horse Gate, the Dung Gate, the Eastern Gate, and so forth. But these gates could be closed and secured in the event of trouble. Because where there are precious things, you need to be able to enclose them. That is your spirit. That is your temperament. That is your attitude. Can I just tell somebody today, whatever has happened to you, whatever wrong you've endured, whatever you've had to bear in life, whatever's been said about you, whatever mud has been slung against your name and your reputation, can I just tell you, keep your spirit. Keep your spirit right. It's precious. It's precious. I talked to a person a while back who was in a tragic car accident. One of the passengers had been killed and the remaining were maimed for life. And one of the passengers had received some money for bodily damages, but said, I would give that money back in a heartbeat if I could rid myself of this pain. We pamper our bodies, but don't really realize. I mean, I've done prayer requests. I've read prayer requests. I've led prayer requests. And can I tell you that most of our prayer requests focus on our body? Yes, pray for this, pray for that. But what we don't realize is the spirit within us is the most precious thing about us. We are part body, part soul, part spirit. Your spirit, out of the heart flows the issues of life. It's the heart that defiles a man, not a body. Bodily exercise profits only a little, but godliness with a merry heart, they're miracle drugs. Yes, yes. A man's spirit is precious. And so the posture of your body pales in comparison to the posture of your spirit. The whiteness of your teeth dulls in comparison the need for a clean heart. The quality of your hearing cannot compare to the value of a listening heart. And the sharpness of your vision is eclipsed by the keenness that's needed in our spirits. Your spirit, my spirit, is the library of our past, the barometer of our present, the predictor of our future. Your spirit, your heart, your inner man, your attitude is who you will be tomorrow. Your attitude, your values, your integrity, they're the only lasting things you possess. Your hair will turn loose or white. Your possessions, families, and friends will be parted from you. But a good name, a spirit, is to be treasured. How can we protect that spirit? Some of us are people watchers. When I'm flying through the airports, I just can't help it. Yeah, some of us are people watchers, but I try to be more of a spirit watcher. I've become so convinced that our attitudes shape our destinies that I watch attitudes and spirits. I need to build some walls around my attitudes. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You know why? Because a critical spirit will try to get in and invade your spirit. It's cloaked with concern. It's disguised by, you need to know these things if you're going to be informed attitude, or come here, I need to tell you something. It's for your own good. You protect your spirit like vinegar mixed with water. Once a critical spirit enters your heart, it's so hard to get it from you. Nehemiah faced Sanballat and Tobiah. The only means of defeating critical spirits is, he discovered, keep them on the outside of the walls. Put them on the outside. Lust will attack your spirit. Like the grave, the eye is never satisfied. That's what the Bible said. The eyes are the lamp of the inner man. Nothing wicked should be willfully set before our eyes. Try praising God. Build up your praise. Anger, hatred, give it up. Give it to Jesus. Build your walls, protecting your spirit with prayer. Build the walls with fasting. Build the walls with praise. Build the wall with the study of the Word of God. Build the walls. Coming right here on Morning Devotion. And said, let's work on each other. Because if I have a broken wall, I'm going to have a broken life. But if I can build again my walls, I believe my life can be rebuilt. You remember this was the question Jehu asked Jonadab, is thine heart right? If it is, he invited Jonadab into his chariot and said, I want to show you what God is going to do. A right spirit will take you places. Hannah's right spirit, even when rebuked, brought a living, breathing child named Samuel to her doorstep. The Shunammite's right spirit, even when she was called a dog, brought healing to her daughter. Have you a place? Have you a place where you, a season of life where you inspect your walls? Say, I can't have them breached. I can't have them broken, because my life is reflected in those walls. Think about it. Maybe had Burr, when he was a young man, flung open the windows that night, rather than screaming goodbye, God, and deciding God would have nothing to do in his life. Maybe had he flung open the shutters and said, welcome, Lord. Maybe there wouldn't be a grave on that campus of a defamed girl. Maybe Burr would have become president of the United States. Maybe Burr wouldn't have ended his life looking down a harbor waiting for a ship to never come in. Maybe that duel would have never taken place with Hamilton. Maybe Burr would not have had to run for his life. I remember a year or so ago in Pennsylvania stopping at a house, they call it the Aaron Burr House, where he fled for his life, not knowing what would happen after he had shot and killed Alexander Hamilton. Maybe it would have all been different. Maybe it would have been different had he painstakingly worked on his spirit. Had he painstakingly said, God, I want you in my heart and in my life. Broken walls, broken lives. A person that cannot control their own spirit, they're like a city that has broken down walls. God, teach me. Teach me to control my spirit. Teach me to be so filled with the Spirit that it's reflected in everything I do and say. Because there are precious things. In these last days, there are precious things that must be protected. A broken wall will lead to a broken life, but a rebuilt wall can lead to a transformed life. Let's rebuild. Would you share this with someone? We're closing out a week of devotions and just believing God. Next month, we will be doing 21 days straight, 21 days prayer and fasting. Urge you to be a part of that. Prepare for that. I hope you're having a great July. I am on the road today and just trying to touch base with some friends during this camp season. I look forward to being back with you Monday a.m. God bless. Share with others. Go have an amazing and wonderful weekend. I look forward to being at home this weekend. In Jesus' name, look forward to seeing you. God bless.
Thank you for listening to Morning Devotion with Ken Gurley. Join us next time for another inspiring devotion. To support this ministry, please visit firstchurch.com/give.